Is this still a concert or an adult art show? Jungkook's stage moves spark massive debate among fans and critics. Microphone woman dancing, no one was prepared for what unfolded that night. The lights dimmed, the crowd roared, and when Jungkook stepped onto the stage, it was as if the entire atmosphere shifted into something electric, sensual, and almost forbidden. What began as another exhilarating performance during his post-military comeback showcase soon turned into one of the most polarizing live moments in recent K-pop history. His moves were sharper, his gaze darker, his confidence overwhelming, and within minutes, the question spreading like wildfire across social media was one that even the industry itself could not ignore. Is this still a concert or an adult art show? As videos of Jungkook's performance flooded timelines and international fan accounts, the reactions were immediate and explosive. Half of the fandom cheered, celebrating what they called the mature rebirth of BTS's youngest member, a man who had grown beyond the boyish charm that once defined him. The other half, however, recoiled in surprise, calling his dance too explicit, too provocative, and a departure from the BTS image we knew. The debate ignited not just among fans, but also within entertainment circles, sparking discussions about artistry, freedom, and the evolution of performance boundaries in the K-pop industry. Underneath the spectacle lies a deeper story. Jungkook's transformation has been years in the making. Ranked number 4 in the top 100 most handsome faces of K-pop 2025, he continues to dominate headlines even during BTS's extended hiatus. That ranking alone might seem superficial, but for many, it symbolizes his reemergence after 2 years of silence, his proof that even military service couldn't dim his star power. With the group's mandatory enlistments completed by June 2025, Jungkook's reappearance on stage marked not just a comeback, but a statement of survival. He stood under the lights not as the shy golden magne the world once adored, but as a performer who had endured solitude, discipline, and scrutiny. The way he moved told a story. His gestures weren't careless. They were deliberate, filled with tension, dripping with confidence. Some say it was performance art. Others call it an unfiltered display of dominance and liberation. Whatever it was, it broke expectations, and perhaps that was exactly what he wanted. The controversy began when clips of Jungkook's solo performance of Standing Next to You at the Seoul Olympic Arena went viral within hours. Fans described the choreography as a blend of temptation and power, while critics called it dangerously close to crossing the line between art and provocation. Dressed in a black satin shirt that clung to his form and unbuttoned just enough to send pulses racing, Jungkook's movements were fluid but forceful, his expressions teasing the line between professional artistry and unrestrained sensuality. The performance, part of his ongoing Golden Live series, was meant to celebrate his return after his military discharge, but instead, it set off a cultural shockwave. Parents of younger fans complained on online forums, accusing him of abandoning BTS's wholesome image, while adult fans defended him fiercely, arguing that art should not be censored simply because it makes people uncomfortable. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. Jungkook isn't crossing the line, he's redefining it. What few realize is that this transformation didn't happen overnight. Jungkook's evolution from the youngest BTS member to an international solo icon mirrors the growth of the K-pop industry itself, a shift from polished idol performances toward deeper, riskier self-expression. Since his early days, Jungkook has been known for his technical perfection and discipline, often pushing himself to exhaustion for every stage. Now, it seems he's channeling that same perfectionism into something far more personal. Every movement feels like a confession, every breath a rebellion against the image the world had trapped him in. Critics from Korea's major entertainment outlets like Dispatch and Sports Seoul couldn't ignore the performance either. Some hailed it as the boldest artistic statement of the post-BTS era, while others questioned whether it blurred the boundary between performance and performance art. The discussion soon spiraled beyond fan wars into broader cultural discourse. What does it mean for an idol to reclaim their body, their image, their sensuality? After years of being seen as symbols of purity, the timing of this uproar is no coincidence. It comes just months after the completion of BTS's military service, a hiatus that forced both the members and fans to reconsider who they were outside of the world's biggest band. South Korea's 2020 revision of the Military Service Act allowed BTS members to defer enlistment until age 30, acknowledging their immense cultural impact, but it also created an unavoidable tension. How would they return? Would they still be idols, or something else entirely? For Jungkook, the answer seems clear. He's no longer just an idol. He's an artist unafraid of controversy, unafraid to be misunderstood. Meanwhile, newer acts like AHOF, a rookie group whose debut EP, Who We Are, sold over 369,000 copies in its first week, are rising fast. AHOF's member JL, ranked just one spot above Jungkook at number 3 on the same Most Handsome Faces list, represents a new generation of idols hungry to fill the void BTS temporarily left. Yet even as the industry celebrates these monster rookies, Jungkook's presence overshadows them all. He doesn't compete. He defines the standard. And perhaps that's why his every move carries such seismic weight. When Jungkook dances, the world doesn't just watch, they react, debate, argue, feel. He doesn't need to be flawless. He needs to be real, and in that rawness lies both his power and his controversy. Fans in Seoul described the performance as liberating, saying they'd never seen him so unguarded, while others questioned whether he was pushing the boundaries of what's considered appropriate for family-friendly K-pop shows. The truth is, the line between art and indecency has always been fragile, especially in a culture where idol perfection is both worshipped and weaponized. Jungkook's stage wasn't indecent, it was unapologetic. It wasn't about shock value. It was about reclaiming the right to express complexity, to be seen as more than a product of choreography and contracts. Yet, one cannot ignore the irony. Even as fans debate his artistic evolution, the media continues to fixate on his looks. His recent number 4 ranking in the 2025 Most Handsome Faces list became yet another trending topic. A reminder that Jungkook remains a symbol of beauty in an industry that both idolizes and restrains it. But beauty has its price. When that beauty transforms into sensuality, when perfection becomes human, audiences panic. They ask if it's too much, forgetting that maybe it's finally just enough. For Jungkook, this controversy might be the beginning of a new artistic chapter. To some, it's rebellion. To others, revelation. But beneath the noise, one truth rings clear. He is no longer performing to please. He's performing to exist. Every smirk, every movement, every pause is deliberate. His stage is his freedom, and freedom, by nature, is messy, beautiful, and divisive. As the debate rages online, the question remains, is the world ready for the artist Jungkook has become? Because if the reactions from fans and critics are any sign, the real battle isn't between art and propriety. It's between the version of Jungkook the world created and the version he's finally chosen to be. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes this performance unforgettable. It's not just about choreography. It's about transformation. It's about a man who refuses to apologize for evolving in front of the very people who helped him rise. Whether you see it as art or indecency, brilliance or controversy, one thing is undeniable. Jungkook has turned his stage into a battlefield of truth, passion, and defiance. The crowd screams echoed long after the lights went out, not because of what they saw, but because of what they felt. And somewhere in that electric silence between admiration and discomfort, Jungkook won. Not as an idol, not as a provocateur, but as an artist who dared to turn chaos into beauty. The debate didn't die down after the show ended. In fact, it only grew louder. Within hours, Jungkook's name dominated Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube trends in over 70 countries, with hashtags like #JungkookArtShow, #GoldenKingReturns, and #TooHotForKpop exploding across timelines. Fan accounts defended his artistic freedom, while conservative commentators accused him of westernizing K-pop beyond recognition. The digital battlefield became an endless scroll of opinions, clips, and re-edit fan cams that turned his already daring performance into something mythic. And yet, amid all the noise, there was one undeniable fact. Jungkook had everyone talking again, Some music journalists compared the uproar to moments in pop history when artists like Madonna or Michael Jackson blurred the boundaries of performance and sensuality. "This is K-pop's first true confrontation with adulthood," wrote one columnist from Rolling Stone Korea. "Jungkook is doing what every artist eventually must: shatter their image to find their truth." Even Korean cultural critics, known for their caution, couldn't resist joining the discourse. Professor Han Min-seo from Seoul National University remarked in a televised interview, "What Jungkook is showing us isn't indecency, it's evolution. He's redefining the male idol identity from submissive charm to confident autonomy. And that, in itself, is revolutionary." For longtime ARMYs, this version of Jungkook feels like a culmination of everything they've witnessed since his debut at just 15 years old. He was once the group's quiet perfectionist, the one who practiced until dawn, who avoided controversy, who smiled shyly on stage. Now, that same perfectionist stands bare in his art, metaphorically and emotionally. His every gesture screams liberation. His every step defies expectation. It's not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's storytelling through movement, through sweat, through the kind of confidence that can only come from surviving the pressures of fame and the solitude of military life. Those who have followed Jungkook through BTS's journey know this isn't just about one concert. It's about a man who has been watched, judged, adored, and constrained by the global gaze for over a decade. To perform so freely after such restraint isn't shocking, it's inevitable. When Jungkook thrusts forward, when he locks eyes with the camera, when his body syncs perfectly with the heavy bass, he's not provoking. He's reclaiming agency. He's saying, "This is me now. Not the boy you molded, but the man I've become." Still, the generational divide in reactions can't be ignored. Older fans and parents of younger K-pop audiences argue that performances like this mark a dangerous trend toward hypersexualization in the industry. "We used to show BTS to our kids because they were clean, wholesome, and inspiring," one viewer commented on Naver. "Now it feels like we can't even watch without covering our children's eyes." Younger fans, however, push back hard. "You can't expect Jungkook to be 18 forever," one user on X, formerly Twitter, wrote, her post receiving over 100,000 likes. "He's 28, not a boy band puppet. He's expressing adult emotions, love, desire, freedom. That's real art." The conversation became so massive that even major TV networks covered it, airing clips of the performance with blurred visuals and debate panels discussing whether K-pop has entered a new era. What was once unthinkable, idols openly exploring sensuality and self-expression, was now the headline of the year, and while the world argued, Jungkook stayed silent. No public statements, no apologies, no clarifications. Just the lingering memory of that stage, that smirk, that perfectly timed step that sent millions into chaos. Meanwhile, the rest of BTS, still gradually returning from their military duties, remained respectfully quiet as well. But fans couldn't help wondering what the others thought. Would Jeon, now the first member officially discharged, see this as bravery or recklessness? Would Jimin, known for his own fluid and seductive performances, support Jungkook's artistic boldness? Would RM and Suga, the group's thinkers, see this as a new statement of creative independence? Speculation surged when eagle-eyed fans noticed that several of Jungkook's hyungs had liked fan posts about the concert. Jimin, in particular, was caught on his private account, allegedly, according to fan sleuths, watching a clip of the performance during a late-night live stream. He smiled quietly and said, "That's Jungkook for you. He never does anything halfway." Whether real or rumor, the quote spread like wildfire, turning the quiet camaraderie of BTS into another chapter of fascination and mystery. Beyond the fandom, entertainment insiders are calling Jungkook's performance a cultural turning point for post-military idols. Traditionally, male K-pop stars return from enlistment with more conservative, uniformed images, short hair, military posture, and polite smiles. But Jungkook broke that mold entirely. He didn't come back to fit in. He came back to dominate. His team at Big Hit Music, known for their strategic precision, reportedly anticipated the controversy. According to a production insider, the choreography was approved after multiple revisions and discussions about artistic integrity versus public comfort. They knew it would shock people, the source said, but they also knew Jungkook didn't want to play it safe anymore. He's not a rookie idol. He's an artist at his peak. And indeed, the numbers speak louder than words. Ticket sales for his next show surged by 200% overnight. Clips of his stage hit over 90 million views across TikTok and YouTube within 3 days. Music platforms saw streaming spikes for Standing Next to You and his solo album Golden. As new audiences, many outside the K-pop sphere, flocked to see the man behind the viral performance in global media. Headlines varied between admiration and scandal. Jungkook redefines male sensuality in K-pop, wrote Vogue Japan. The idol who dared too much, reported The Guardian. BTS's Jungkook and the Art of Desire, praised Billboard. Every opinion added fuel to the fire, turning one night of artistry into a global conversation about identity, censorship, and the evolution of masculinity in music. As the smoke of controversy lingers, one question continues to echo across the fandom. Was Jungkook's performance too much? Or was it exactly what K-pop needed? Because maybe, just maybe, the real revolution doesn't come in silence or safety. Maybe it comes in the form of a man unafraid to move, to provoke, to remind the world that idols are not fantasies, they're human, with stories carved into every rhythm of their bodies. And if that truth makes people uncomfortable, perhaps that's the point. Jungkook didn't just perform a song that night. He performed a transformation, a breaking, a rebirth. And as the world keeps replaying those few minutes of stage brilliance, one thing becomes clearer than ever. This is not the Jungkook the industry built. This is the Jungkook who built himself. Would you like me to continue into the aftermath section? How international media, cultural critics, and fans reinterpret his adult art show as a watershed moment for post-BTS artistry and Korean pop culture?